Have you ever had a really well-reasoned argument but just couldn't get through to the other person? Have you ever faced a decision where the pros and cons were deep and complicated? How Truthful helps you with both these situations. When you're facing a decision, it helps you organize your thoughts. When you're communicating your reasoning, it makes things clear. I'll give you an example. Say your friend Floyd believes the earth is flat. You're doubtful of this statement, but you like Floyd and decide to look into it. He points you to a website with lots of information. There's a lot of text. It's hard to process. Your goal is to distill it down to a form that is easy to process. How Truthful helps you do that. I'll give you a peek at the finished product. This is what an opinion looks like on How Truthful. The main statement is at the top. Underneath is a row of circles where you rate the truthfulness of the statement from 1 false to 5 true. There's a small space underneath reserved for a summary of others' opinions on the same statement. Then there's the pro section, which is statements that argue for the main statement. Finally, there's the con section, statements that argue against the main statement. Notice how all the pro and con statements have truthfulness ratings too. A couple of the pro arguments here are still marked debatable, showing that you looked at them but didn't come to any conclusion. Notice how there's a 2- after the last con statement at the bottom. That indicates that it has 2 con statements under it. So you get together with your friend Floyd and talk through your opinion. Floyd, I read the website you sent me, and after careful consideration, I still think the earth is round. The part about the vanishing point seems debatable, as does the math about the line of sight. I don't question the part about the photographer. What clinched it for me, though, was that I think it's true that people have circumnavigated the earth. And you click through to that and talk about it as the main statement. I do want to acknowledge it's true that one can't stay in a straight line for a long time without navigational aids. However, I have reasons to disbelieve the statement that people who thought they were circumnavigating the earth were actually traveling in a circle on a flat disk. Okay, if the sun rises over a disk and east is going in a circle, the sun can't appear to everyone to be rising in the east. And if you're trying to navigate around the earth, you're going to notice if the sun isn't rising in the east. It just doesn't make sense for the earth to be this kind of disk. I don't think it can be flat. It's probably not a shock to Floyd that not all his friends agree with him that the earth is flat. You've actually strengthened your relationship with Floyd by taking him seriously and really looking into it, and he'll respect what you say all the more from now on because you've shared your honest opinion and the reasoning you used. I don't know about you, but I love this format. I love the way this information is structured. It's so concise, unlike the wall of text that Floyd gave us. It's concise. Even with all the arguments, including the ones you disagree with, it's still concise. It's cool-headed. This format lends itself to factual statements and not ad hominems. It's concise, cool-headed, and connected. Nobody ever has to ask, where are you going with this? It's perfectly clear what's arguing for what. So how do we get to this nicely structured set of statements? I'll show you. See this button on the lower right, sign in? You don't need it. How Truthful keeps your opinions in local storage on your computer, phone, or laptop. Signing in is for putting opinions on the web. That requires a paid account. Wait, you're saying, should putting How Truthful opinions on the web require a paid account? Well, let's form an opinion on that. I'm going to open this plus opinion link in another tab. Okay, our main statement is How Truthful should require a paid account to put opinions on the web. Okay, and notice there are instructions here when you're making a new opinion that tell you what to do. The tab key is very handy. Takes us to the truth rating. Debatable, well, let's just leave it debatable for now. We can use arrow keys to change that rating back and forth. But I'm going to tab twice down to the con arguments because I know what you're thinking right now. Putting opinions on the web is basic functionality. Okay, so I did a shift tab to go back to pro. Actually, let me go back to pro. Pro argument supporting this statement: advertising is not a good business model for HowTruthful. You may have heard that when you have an advertising business model, the users are the product rather than the customer. That's especially true of something like this, where you wouldn't want a particular advertiser to have too much influence. And you notice how when I'm putting in one of these arguments, it gives me some autocomplete things. So it's remembering all the opinions that you've put in already and offering them as possible things you'd want to put in this space. Another pro: spammers won't keep creating accounts after a paid account gets shut down. Okay, this is a project that I am doing in my spare time. I can't and don't want to spend my time, hammering spammers who keep popping up with new accounts. So making it a paid account means they spam, shut down their account. If they want another one, that's going to cost them more money. And finally, the pro argument is asking people to pay is a great way to validate an idea. Okay, so putting opinions on the web being basic functionality, I'm going to leave that debatable. These other ones, I'm going to click through. I'm going to say that's true. Go back. I am putting out my opinion that this is true. Going back. And I believe this is also true. So here's my opinion, why HowTruthful should require a paid account to put opinions on the web. If I want to make more changes, there's a pencil up here, which changes to a check mark, adds all these things for unlinking pros and cons, etc. Eventually for changing it to public. I'm not signed in right now, so it's not going to actually go on the web if I were to switch this. But it would be kind of lined up for doing that. And then say you have a free account, you're trying it out, but you think, well, if I get a paid account, I want this to go on the web. You can go ahead and change it now. When you get your paid account, it'll go. And then check mark, I get back to how it looks to everybody. Okay, this has been a labor of love in my spare time, and I need feedback from you to know if it's worth spending more time on. When people like it enough to spend $10 on the premium version, then I know they're serious. So even though everything I showed you in this video is included for free, I hope you'll send a message by buying the premium version anyway. It also means you don't lose all your data if you lose your phone or computer. There are a lot of potential improvements I could make to HowTruthful. It's pretty basic in some areas. For example, you can only log in via Twitter, but it's good enough now to show how tremendously useful the concept is. Try it out, leave a comment, and consider dropping $10 on HowTruthful Premium. How much response I get will determine how aggressively I go after making improvements. I think this handy little tool can change the world, but I need to see that the world wants to be changed.